that that's such a perceptive,
It's true.
evaluation of,
Don't take my word for it.
And we know that there are so many CIA agents that work with the media or are members of the media. It's incredible. So I think stenography is exactly right.
What is CBS? He used to work for Los Angeles Times or something, and they fired him because they found him giving stories to the CIA to be edited. I can't think of his name, John Hillebrand or something. And then he's working now for some media outlet, but the guy keeps his job. It's like they know that the guy was a spook who worked feeding his stories to the CIA to get vetted, and yet he keeps his job. He keeps his job. I can't think of his name. He's the guy who released that information talking about Trump and Kim Jong-un. Sources say XYZ, yes. And you find out it's like, oh, it's that guy. That guy's.
I know what you're talking about. I've forgotten his name as well, but I know that my colleague at Disability Media actually covered that issue. Yeah. So I feel bad that I don't remember his name either right now, but I know what you're talking about.
I can't think of his name. WikiLeaks have even brought him out, showed him on Twitter saying, look, this guy, he's in the WikiLeaks documents himself. I can't think of his name. Sorry.
Not a problem at all. Thank you so much for spending your time with us this weekend. I know that everyone who participates in this vigil is, they're taking time out of their schedule to express the solidarity with Julian Assange. I really appreciate you joining us, and it's been great to talk to you. So thank you, Jamal.
I appreciate you inviting me. I'm sorry for being late and camera issues, but no, thank you.
Not a problem.
Thank you for bringing me in. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Thank you. And if we have to, have another vigil, then I hope to see you back, and we'll discuss what has unfolded between. Okay, just 1 second. We're going to take a break now, and then we're going to go into the next guest with us. But thank you again, Jamal, for spending your afternoon with us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You too. All right. Now, so I believe what we're going to do right now is we're going to play the theme song that we are so grateful that this song was kind of created not only for solidarity with Julian Assange in general, but also for the vigil itself. And after that song plays, and we'll go into our next guest, Cassandra Fairbanks, who I'm really excited to see what she has to say between the last vigil and this one. So thank you.
Dreams, I walk free in the city streets. 2,500 days plus 50 weeks, doing hard time for these WikiLeaks, trying to bring the truth out. Man, it only gets you heat, and then they gag you. You don't get to speak, and when you get the leak, they try to hit delete. The masses of the masses, they want the shit discreet. That's why my middle finger's up to these sick elites. Free speech, it's the freedom of press. Take your deepest, darkest secrets, never leave them unsaid. If I'm a thief, then I'm a thief for the people you dread. The people of the red, bottom blue, you keep them in bed. Seeing the sheep, keep them asleep, deceiving the weak. Keep seeking the leaks till you cease, and I see your defeat. Until I'm deceased underneath a freezing red sheet. Become a dead man, then I hit the switch and release. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. Stories axed by the editor, you kill the messenger. Pay to play on the regular, you kill the messenger. Need a solace, any questioners, you kill the messenger. And outside my window a figure quickly creeps. They dark as night like some motherfucking chimney sweeps. Whiskey what my Mickey keeps, dying in my kidneys weak. Silence in my risky tweets is what the grand jury seeks. I'm wanting peace like 7 years in Tibet. Now rest in peace like 7 years under threat. Cause I've released 7 vaults, they upset. They ended the rape sentence, but the US still insists to rest. I guess it's a sin to take the truth and disseminate. MLK to Gandhi, take aim and eliminate. And I don't say I'm great, just wanna say what's fake. But if they kill me, 1,000,000 others will take my place. The CIA's post like a knife the sharpest. All hypocrisy, lies, and heartless. They want to stop me, my life, make my heart quit. cause democracy dies in the darkness. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. Stories axed by the editor, you kill the messenger. Pay to play on the regular, you kill the messenger. Need to silence any questioners, you kill the messenger. When the vote count is irregular, you kill the messenger. You caught spying on a senator, you kill the messenger. Removing voters from the register, you kill the messenger. Need to silence any questioners, you kill the messenger.
All right, I think we are ready now to speak with Cassandra Fairbanks, who I know has been kind enough to host part of this vigil earlier in the marathon stream that we've had going for the last over 24 hours. Hi, great to see you, Cass. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yes, I couldn't for just a second, but that's just because Zoom always mutes our guests every single time. So, so I know that we've all, you and I and Susie, we've all been through every single one of these vigils, from the Reconnect Julian vigil all the way through. And I was wondering if you could give some of your insight into how you feel things have developed since the last Unity 4J vigil. Even if that outlook is bleak, just, your perspective on the developments we've seen.
Well, unfortunately, there hasn't been much change. It's become normalized, which was, the biggest concern. People just out of sight, out of mind, and that's, obviously terrible. So it's really great that you guys are doing these to keep people reminded that he is still in isolation and being treated worse than pretty much all of our inmates ever. So,
definitely,
it's weak, for sure.
Definitely in the sense of not being able to have any access to medical care. And one of the things that I find really interesting about that, maybe a lot of people don't know, but that I saw when Susie wrote her article about Julian Assange's situation before he was cut off, which was that in the medical records that are publicly available, if you look at WikiLeaks, they host those records. Apparently, the tooth that is broken, what that happened when guards put an object in Assange's food and he bit down on it, and that's the reason that he needs such dental care. So I think that the level of torture that has been going on since before he entered the embassy is astounding. So just raising awareness of those facts that people often don't know is one of the few things that we can do, I suppose. But
yeah, it's horrible. I mean, it breaks my heart to think about it. And it feels very helpless because there's not, we can't just go break him out of the embassy as much as we would love to. So it's, we're stuck doing online vigils and tweeting and writing articles, and It almost feels like yelling at a wall sometimes. So it's great that we have, these things where you can see that there's other people who are just as frustrated, I guess.
Definitely. And I think, the fact that we're willing, or not willing, but trying to keep this up, even when there is very little new news to report, it is one of the most difficult aspects of it is that what can you say when there's only silence coming from the embassy and there's no, kind of news updates to report. But I think that at the same time, as you've kind of indicated, it's more important than ever to keep talking anyway. So, that's what we're doing. And I know that, you've been continually covering this through your independent journalism and raising awareness as much as possible. What do you think some of the viewers and listeners can do as acts of solidarity? How can they, express support for Julian at this time?
Well, one of the people that I interviewed yesterday had a great idea, which was writing to the Nobel Committee and urging them to give him the Nobel Peace Prize, which he should have won every year for the last 10 years anyway. I mean, realistically, because then instead of just being an imprisoned publisher, he'd be Nobel Prize winning publisher.
Absolutely.
And fight harder because it's insane. I mean, this whole thing is absolutely ridiculous to begin with, but if we could get him more, awards and recognition, things like that. I hadn't really heard that idea before. I think that's a good one. Going on WikiLeaks shop, but I always say this, buying merch, wearing it out, start conversations, urge your local reporters to remember that this could happen to them. It could happen to anybody, depending on who's in power. If any journalist could get a great leak or scoop or something and be facing the U.S. government the same way Julian is, as if they're doing their job the way that they should be. So it's important to remind people that this could be them. They could be next. And by ignoring what's happening to Julian, they're kind of setting themselves up to be in this danger and in this situation, or, their colleagues or friends. So, I think that those are pretty good ways. We talk about, petitioning government and public officials a lot, but I think that we also need to be pressuring the press to speak out because they could be next.
Yeah, and I think that not only pressuring them, but kind of pointing out and discussing the hypocrisy. As we said in the last segment, we noted the fact that, the Guardian, who benefited from WikiLeaks' publications, turns around and has published, multiple smears against Julian since he